Hey Ara! Today I'm going to talk about reconnecting, actually, with some old friends of mine. When Ash and I were still in high school, she and I both started going to one of the local youth groups at the Wesleyan Church in our hometown. The youth pastor had changed. We had been there for I think a few months before the pastors changed. But, so we had this new guy come in. His name's Jordan. And he was only actually a few years older than us. When he came in, he was 23. So he's only about, like, maybe 6 years older than me. So through all of our high school years, we went to this youth group and went on different excursions and just really got to know Jordan and his wife Jen really well. I mean, he's a huge nerd. So I mean, like, how could we not get along with him? Seriously. He was also brilliant, and he still is a brilliant youth pastor. He really has a way with talking to teens, and it's amazing how well he was able to get through to us and hold the majority of our attention. When, you know, in high school you don't usually want to listen to a sermon or anything like that. So the summer before my second year, I went home, and actually Jordan was moving, and then he did find a new place, and that was in New York. A little bit of a distance. He's originally from New Brunswick, but Jen is originally from New York, and they met at school. It kind of worked out in their favor, but it was kind of like, you know, this person who has had such an impact on our teenage years is suddenly going to be, like, gone. And yeah, like, we stayed in contact, like, through Facebook and things like that, but not nearly as much as I think any of us would have liked to. Just this past week, actually, he was in the city because most of his family's in the city, and it was unfortunate circumstances that brought him here. His uncle passed away, but he took off extra days, like, around the funeral dates, so that if there were people that he was gonna go see, he would actually have time to go see them. And lo and behold, Ash was like, oh my god, Jordan's in the city, like, we need to, like, find him and hang out with him. And I was like, yes, we need to do this. We actually were able to do this. But not only were we able to see Jordan and Jen again, we have two other friends that we also went to high school with who also live in the city, but because we are all so horrible at getting in contact with other people, we have not seen each other since we moved, and actually, they didn't know that we had moved here yet. And we've been here for almost 7 months. Continuing on from our lack of communication, we contacted them and we're like, hey, you guys need to come because we haven't seen you yet, and Jordan's gonna be in town, and I know that you guys are gonna want to hang out with them. And basically the 6 of us all got together, and it was this really interesting reunion. Ash and I hadn't seen Jordan and Jen in 4 years. And we hadn't seen Chelsea and Todd, our other friends, in probably at least 2 years. At first it was awkward. You know, it was like, okay, so, like, we're gonna go out for dinner. And we did, we went out for dinner, and it was like, cool, so we're gonna talk about, like, cool, let's talk about random things. But then it really quickly fell back into a really natural rhythm. And I just found that so awesome, that even though we hadn't seen these people, like Jordan and Jen, we hadn't seen them for years, and they had been such a big part of our lives, and it was almost like falling back where we left off. And same thing, Chelsea was my best friend in high school. Like, we'd known each other since 7th grade, and we just kind of lost contact because, like I said, we're both really horrible at staying in contact, but it really easily picked up where we left off. And, like, I didn't know she was into Marvel, and we had a whole conversation about Black Widow, and I'm like, I forgot how much of a nerd you were. We need to hang out more and go see, like, the Avengers premiere and, like, watch all these things, and And I don't know, it was kind of surreal being able to reconnect with these people after so many years of no contact, and reconnect so smoothly and so easily, like we had never left. Anyway, that's my story for today, Ara, and I hope that you have a most wonderful week, and I love you very much, my darling.